All right, I know your brain is hurting. You just worked hard, but that's just the nature of high school, right? It's going to be the same in college, university. You're going to feel overwhelmed, but don't pull the plug, okay? Hang in there. It always feels like that in the beginning. You go to university or college, and all your profs give you a bunch of handouts. And on those handouts, they're going to have due dates for all kinds of things. And you're going to be like, my brain is hurting, right? Get organized. Get a calendar. Get all your outlines. It's like, okay, assignment due here. This assignment is due here. Exam is here. Test there. Boom, boom. Midterm. Put it on your calendar. Get organized, right? And now you have an overview, okay? Okay. Important test here, important test there. Don't procrastinate, get going right away, right? So you're ahead, you're proactive, right? Yeah. I'm not gonna have a cumulative, I'm not gonna have a midterm. I'm just gonna have tests. So every test is gonna have a section in there that has some old questions, okay? I know we used to do cumulatives, but I honestly, like, if you look at how much time we spend preparing for it and then you write it, we almost lose a week worth of classes to write that thing. I can just do a bunch of ACs along the way and kind of like, hey, remember design a measurement? Boom, here it is, right? And your brain is like rehashing it. So I rather do like a consistent review than just like this one big midterm that eats up 5 days out of our schedule, our calendar, and then everything else gets affected by it. So that's my reasoning behind it. So once COVID hit, we stopped doing it, and I kind of liked it. Students still did okay on the final. Okay, so I didn't notice a big advantage of having that midterm. But in university, you do have quite often you have midterms. All right, so this is now on the video. Anyways, skip this part next time you see it if you watch it. All right, so we talked about this pond project, and remember this piece, the pond, is like a hemisphere, right? That's how they're gonna dig that out. And so we have a bunch of stuff happening here, and I started to highlight all the important pieces. So this is where you're gonna have to also make sure you're organized and have highlighters. It's like, okay, they mentioned liner here. There's a cost for the liner right here. They mention excavation. Here's the cost for it. I'm probably gonna have to calculate how much I need to excavate, all of that stuff, right? So determine the cost, not including taxes. So we're not gonna worry about taxes. I would always say that if you're working, I would have both answers quite often because sometimes it's easier to copy one rather than the other. So I did this with you, right? This part. Okay, I wasn't sure because I have my draft and then I have my clean. So there it goes. So we have that figured out. B, it says determine the cost of soil to build the garden, not including taxes. So the cost of soil. This is going to be a bit trickier. So we need to figure out, guys, this is the garden right here. It's like a donut. Do you see it? Okay, so you basically, let me try my best here. I'm going to try to give you a side view of this thing. Right? Is there a depth to that garden? Yeah, if you remember, there's a 4-inch deep depth to this thing. Okay. And so this here is 4 inches, right? That's 4 inches. But I don't want the pond that's in the middle. So can you see that this is going to be a cylinder with a hole in it? All right. So we're doing good, okay? So I remember that the big one here, I'm just going to copy from here, is 5 feet. And the small radius here, what was that again? I'm going to go back here. That's 3 feet. 3 feet right there for the small circle inside. I don't like this being in inches. And so you have feet and inches, right? So before you convert, check, what is my soil sold in? Can you see it here? It's in cubic feet, right? So I'm probably better off turning this into feet. So I have to have all my dimensions into feet. So I'm just going to go 4 inches divided by 12, right? Um, 0.333. I don't like that too much. So watch what I'm going to do. It's okay if you do, okay? I'm just going to show you 1 inch. I'm going to say that 1 foot has 12 inches. So it's basically 4 divided by 4 divided by 12. And we're just going to call that 1/3 of a foot. Can you wrap your head around that? 1/3 of a foot instead of 0.33333 of a foot? Because then you don't have decimals. So you can just leave it like that, okay? So we're going to have that there. Now go down to the work area that I have. How would you find the volume of this donut, like the volume of that? You can go volume of the big one minus volume of the small one if you want. You want to go that way? You think that makes sense? Volume of big cylinder minus volume of small cylinder? Does that make sense? And so we're going to go total volume is going to be volume of large minus volume of small. Okay. So this is going to be pi r squared height. It's the same height, correct? Minus pi radius squared height. It's the same height. So we have pi 5 squared. And what's the height again? 1/3. I hate fractions. That's probably what some of you are thinking. Fractions are your friend, okay? And then it's 3 squared times 1/3. And so if you want 0.33333, that's fine. Just go up on your calculator, copy that, and you're fine. So let's go ahead and do this. I did it slightly differently, so I'm going to actually have to walk through with you here. So go ahead and, so I'm going to go pi times 25 divided by 3. And I get 26.17 something. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. 4 times 1 divided by 3, it's up to you. 4, 2, 4, dot, dot, dot. And that gives me, if I subtract them, 16.75. 7.5 something something. What are we in? Cubic feet, right? Cubic feet, because we're dealing with volume. My head hurts too, guys, when I do these, by the way. Okay, so it's not just yours. I have to make sure I get this right. So we're going to say this. Before we jump to our cost, we now just figured out how much are we going to need to fill in, right? So now we're going to go, what do I need to do first? What do I need to do before I find the cost? I need to figure out how many bags, because you can't rip it open in the store and just take a little bit and then walk out, right? Good luck with that, right? So we're gonna go, even though people probably do it, you would be surprised what people do, right? So one bag just contains 2 cubic feet. So I want to find X number of bags required for 16.75 dot dot dot. And all you need to do is 16.75. Just show me that work here. So I'm going to go on my calculator. I'm just going to go copy that answer, divide it by 2. That's 8.3. Keep going. So how many bags do I need to buy? 9. Okay. Now I'm going to go cost is just 9 times, what is it, 699. So 9 times 699, 6291. And I'm going to circle that because that's important to us. So I'm going to do A, B, C, D on these questions. So you don't have to be too worried about just find the total cost. Like I'm going to say find this, find this, find this, find this. You just go look for what you need. By the way, this could have been done differently. This question right here could have been done differently. If you kind of were thinking of, remember I told you the area of the base times height is volume. Remember that? So you could have gone big circle minus small circle, like big area of big circle minus area of small circle. All right? Then multiply it by the height. That would have given you the exact same answer. I actually did it like that on my key here. But I figured that I've done this a lot, so let's just stick with it, okay? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just forget about it. C, so this is where I'm going to have to go over to my piece of loose leaf, okay? For C, so this is page 30 in my notes, right? Page 30, it's the pond question. And so C is asking the pond liner, the water pump, and soil have both GST and PST applied, but the excavation has only the GST. Determine the total cost including taxes. So here I'm going to start. This is C. The total would be, I'm going to go excavation, right? So what's the excavation cost? 375. What am I going to multiply that by? Excavation only has GST, so that's 5%. Okay, so times 1.05. Sorry, that was too many decimals there. 1.05. Okay, that's it. Plus, now I'm gonna everything else gets 12%. So I'm gonna make another bracket here. What do I need to add? I'm gonna for sure add the soil that I just bought. I need to peak ones. 62.91. Right, 62.91 for the soil. Plus, what else do I need to include? So the soil I've done, the liner and the pump. How much is the liner and the pump? 150, right? I want you to scan, that's what I'm asking. It's right there. Liner and pump is 150. So liner and pump, I'm just going to make sure it's 150. And that's it, right? What do I multiply this by? 1.12. Yeah, like that. All right. Is your head hurting? Yes. Good question. It's just this, right? Because so if you find this number, you put it down, plus I will first add these two, and then this whole thing gets multiplied by 1.12. So I don't know, you like brackets? Here, get some square brackets, take it. Yeah, it's kind of like the chunk, and another chunk, and then we add it all up, right? But they're not taxed the same. So I need to do this as myself. I enjoy actually typing this, right? Like actually doing it 393.75 live with you, so you know what it, right? How do I enter it? Some students like to see that. So 62.91 plus 150. So watch how I do this. You can't see it, but now you can. So I just go like that, and my instinct always says let's find the total there, right? And then I multiply that by 1.12, right? Like it's just when you buy stuff at the store, they go beep, 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 right? And then at the end, you get the taxes added, right? So it's kind of like the same thing. So this is 238.46. And then you just add those two up, right? So I go my calculator. I think this you can figure out. You need to be careful here because With money, we do round as we go. Like when you do these kinds of questions. So I'm not gonna copy, I'm just gonna go 238.46. Go ahead. That's 632.21 for the project. Okay. And that is basically it, but there's a little addition to this, right? Some of you remember Ms. Yosik, and you're probably like, I wish I had Ms. Yosik. I'm so used to her, right? Anyways, here's a little question to remind you of Ms. Yosik. There you go. So D, the Yosiks would like to build a walkway from the house to the garden, right? So from the house to the garden, it's 3 feet wide, and it is to be paved with bricks that measure 4 inches by 8 inches. Indicate the total number of bricks for your design. Okay, so I will just do this. Let's draw a walkway. You can see it up there in our original diagram. We know it's 3 feet wide. And how far is it this way? Up in the diagram? 12. 12, right? 12 feet. So this area, the area would be 12 times 3, which is a nice 36 square feet, right? So that is the area to be paved. This is how I calculated when I did my patio, like you figure out your area. And then you need to know the area of just one brick. And then we'll figure out how many of these fit into here. So one brick is what? 4 inches by 8 inches. Uh-oh, inches and feet. What's going on? No big deal. One brick has 32 square inches. And so we don't like that. So we're going to go 32 square inches. Do you remember how to convert this thing to square feet? Right. 1 foot has 12 inches. So I just divide it by 12 and I get my answer, right? Square inches. So it's actually 12 times 12. Do you remember that from your times table? 144. Yeah. So it's 32 divided by 144. So that's okay. We're just going to go 0.22 square feet. Does it make sense that one brick would just be 0.22 square foot? Does it make sense? It kind of does, because a brick 4 by 8 is just like this big. I can literally hold it in my hands, right? So it makes sense that one brick is very small when it comes to square feet. Did you have a question? Okay. All right, so one brick, the whole thing. So we're going to say, I like my proportional reasoning, so leave me to it, okay? So one brick will cover square feet, okay? Therefore, I will need X number of bricks to cover 36 square feet. Does that make sense? I always like to think of it that way. One brick covers this much, therefore you need X number of bricks to cover 36 square feet. So you cross multiply and divide. So it's really 36 times 1 divided by 0.22, which some of you are like, yeah, Mr. Dirksen, my instinct told me to do that. This is why your instinct was right, okay? So I'm just going to go 36 divided by copy paste. Oh, a nice round number. Who would have thought, right? 162 bricks. When you go to the store to buy 162, would you buy 162 or would you buy some extras? Buy some extras. Buy 200. Because you might crack one of them, right? I was chipping ice one day in the winter and I cracked a brick. So now it's like, and finding the right color, pattern, all of that sucks, right? So buy a few extras and then you're good to go. All right. What do I want to say about this? They could have given us cost of a brick. They didn't, right? All of those things. You could have ended up with a decimal. You got to round it to nearest whole number. So not, you shouldn't be surprised by anything past this, okay? All right. I think what I'm going to do is ask you to, and these get a little trickier because there's more involved, but really, if you just think and read carefully, it is the same way as what I've just done here, okay? Not always will you have to worry about volume, sometimes surface area. So I want you to try problem CD. CDE. CDE. Okay? Homework. So that's basically pages 31 to 34. And I gave you lots of room for the other one, so you can do it right on here. Problem C, use a piece of loose leaf. I was not able to fit that in. You're going to need more room, okay? Can I just give you a little heads up for this one right here? This is the one you're not going to like. You're supposed to draw a scale diagram. No! Okay. Make it easy. So I will give you a scale. Here, this is on the house. I will say that you should use 1 centimeter, and that will represent 1 foot in real life. So when you have a 4x8 sheet, your drawing, ready for this? I drew this one to scale. It's 4 centimeters by 8 centimeters, and I kind of make markings on the side for every centimeter, so that's like a foot. Okay. If that one throws you off, do everything else. Okay. If that one throws you off, do everything else, and then move on. I will post the answer key. I'll try to make it nice and clean. All right. So you try. And so tomorrow's AC, I will probably just pick one of these and just put a twist to it. I always do. And then you're going to have to do that one. Just the one question like this, a longer project for tomorrow. Can you handle that?